We just did our job, defended home court. Last two series we didn't do that. Put ourselves in jeopardy, having to go on the road and win a game three. And here we managed to do it. Now it's time to go to Orlando and see if we can't get one.
Still waiting for a big smile out of you. You're up 2-0. What's the story? Are you not happy, or you're only half happy, or?
Still to be happy about.
You're up 2-0.
Job's not finished. Job finished? I don't think so.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another week of Muskies on Tap. We got Max and Brian dancing on the screen right now. Wish all you could see that. We just came off of a very, very good Northern Wisconsin opener. We'll get into that in this podcast. We also have special guests of Tyler and Alex talking about Minnesota opener. We also have another special guest. I'll leave it unnamed for the time being. I don't know if anybody wants to introduce them in here, but first up, so we got Max back on the podcast. Max, how you doing? Welcome back from your week hiatus. What happened? First week off.
It feels great to be back. I was sorry to miss the episode last week. Apparently, I'm just a degenerate gambler that needed to scratch the itch in Vegas, according to you guys.
Yep.
Not
business related at all.
I wish I would have made it more clear that I was there for work. I did do a bit of gambling. Did win money, if anyone's wondering. So not a big deal.
I'm sure they are.
A fun time in Vegas. Obviously missed you guys a lot. Glad to be back on this week, ready to roll. Coming off of a great opener for the other members of this podcast that are on here tonight. Fun watching you guys catch fish, fun filming, fun taking pictures. But without further ado here, let me introduce our other co-host who picked up some slack for me last week. It's none other than Mr. Brian Eckel. How we doing tonight, Brian?
I'm doing great. I had a great weekend with you guys all on the boat. Caught 4 fish in total myself. A couple of them were picked up right behind Max's bait, and it just didn't roll his way this weekend. But I think it's setting him up for a giant fish here soon, hopefully, to get him off his cold streak. So we'll see on that. But I had a great interview with the Minnesota boys today, gearing up for opener. And we're joined here with our other boat partner for opener this past weekend, Mr. Jack, Mr. Beaver Bait God. Welcome to the pod again. I think second time, is that right?
Yeah, this is my second time. I think Northern opener last year was the first one, so I'm back.
Another reoccurring guest on this week's episode. We had Alex Mclean come on for the second time. Now we got Jack Smigley, aka Grape Wake, as many of you know him by his pseudo Instagram name.
No, don't bring that up.
Fellas, let's just dive right into it. I think I can just act as the mediator here this evening, since I don't have any of my own fish stories to tell. I think that's kind of the elephant in the room here, as you guys have probably picked up on from our intro. A lot of nice fish hit the bag this weekend. We're able to kind of change it up, do something a little different than we normally do. Took a little bit of a gamble, and luckily it paid off. Every once in a while, it does, and it's always fun when it does. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to go to the guide. Gus, when you saw the forecast, you've been on the water for a long time. What was kind of the mindset heading into Northern Wisconsin opener this year? What made you kind of think about things differently than we have in the past?
So to kind of like put it all into one here, being on the water a ton, smallmouth fishing and the early ice off, I was thinking in April, like, okay, we got to guarantee that this opener is going to be warm. The temps are going to be way up more than normal. We're going to have like heavily post spawn fish. We're gonna have to probably search into open water or go to certain lakes that are super far progressed, and then after being on the water a bunch, I'm like, okay, so some of these lakes are really holding their temperatures. Like some of these lakes are pretty much where they exactly were temperature wise as last year when ice came off like May 2nd. And I'm like, all right, well, we've always talked about it. We've always went to shallow stained lakes. Some years we've had some poor success. Some years we've had, not many fish seen. And then there's some years where we see a good bit. We catch some. We usually don't lay too many eyes on like big fish. We're always wondering where they went. And we're like, screw it. This year we're going to do a little bit of action water, but we're also going to fish deep systems, larger systems, and catch fish kind of on their way out of the spawn, because I think that there's definitely some fish spawning during our opener, surprisingly enough, with how early the ice off was. So I'm like, we just gotta try it. We've always talked about doing it, and we just kind of did it. But we did, to start things off, uh wanted to start with action water. That was kind of our goal. Like we were thinking about a different lake where maybe we can just kind of get one with the opening morning, but then we switched it up and we're like, no, let's start it off first morning, action water, see what we can get. And I think it kind of rolled right into, I told Brian, like, or I told all of you guys we're gonna see fish for sure and probably have shots at a couple. And I think Brian, you caught that small one on a shallow raider in like the first 5-10 minutes, 5 minutes, something. Yeah, I mean, we were all bundled up. I mean, opening morning was like low 40 degrees outside and windy. That was that was cold,
Post frontal.
very much so. Yeah, wind was out of the northeast. Was it opening day? Do you guys remember?
Yeah,
You want to help me, or did it
was.
switch?
I wouldn't say it was like favorable conditions, but
No, it wasn't
kind of
northeast.
what
So
we
It
were.
was Southwest,
yes, that's
Yeah,
I
might
right.
think.
have been Southwest,
Sorry,
but either way, it was
get
like
mixed with a different day.
Friday seemed like everything was lining up to be a great day of musky fish. I heard JVR talk about this on the Backlash podcast, how it seemed like every fish in the system was eating. And then, obviously going into Saturday, high bright skies, a lot of sun. But we get out into those action waters, and Brian, I'm going to let you take it away. You were kind of the man of the morning, if you will. First time out on the water this year. How did it feel to be back out?
It was good. I was glad to hear we might be dealing with some negative to nooch fish. It's typically when I like to get after them and wake them up a little bit.
Sure.
But I think I had never been on this lake, smaller body of water. But I knew, from Gus's stories in the past that, high density of fish. And so yeah, we were just trying to get anything on the board for the year to start things off opening morning. I'm not scared to throw a little gaudy color, as you guys might know. So I put on the pink shallow raider, and yeah, I mean 5 minutes in, just twitching it pretty erratic, pretty fast, and got absolutely crushed by a nice little, I don't know what it was, 28 incher, 30 incher if we really pull on it. So that was good, I guess. Get one on the board early, and yeah, we continued to, like, we just did like a huge mega drift to start the day. Fishing like mainly, I don't know, 5 to 9 foot weed bed, weed flat. And we ended up probably, what, I think we all moved at least a few fish. We probably moved, I think it was like 11 fish in the first hour, and we caught just that one dinker. I mean, yeah, there was some pretty crazy stories. I think one of the follow Max was at the front of the boat. He got one to follow him in, and then it came over to my bait when I brought mine into the eight, followed me around and just kind of sat there. And then I went back to the back of the boat, followed Gus around, and then back to the other corner of the boat and followed Jack around. So we were just getting crazy action from these muskies, and none of those would eat. I don't know what we were doing wrong, but they were just very curious that morning.
There was a few wild occurrences from that morning. There was another fish, and I don't know if this is the one that followed all four of us, where Jack and I were fishing out of the back, and maybe somebody moved one recently, and then I just look at in the back behind the engine. We both look. I'm like, dude, there's just a muskie following us. Like it's not
The
following
whole
a
boat.
lure. It's just following the boat. I don't have
It,
a stainless steel prop. I got a white prop. So I'm like,
it was salivating at that thing just slowly turning.
love the prop. Yeah. I don't even know if it's turning. Who
Hey,
knows? But
it just wanted to be in some good company. Just wanted to be in good company.
they toss the lure by it, and then it would kind of look at it a little bit, follow it a little bit, and then just go back to fall. I don't know. It was pretty funny.
So I would say I classify it as like a lot of fish were looking, a lot of window shoppers early in the morning. Felt a little chilly, a little crisp on the water. Um, did
All right, we just lost Max. Wi-Fi crashed, so he'll be back here momentarily. But yeah, it was a very not slow morning, but the fish were very slow moving. They were very curious. It was cold. I think we needed the sun to charge them up a little bit. But we switched spots then after our mega drift. We headed to the south end of the lake, just essentially to another big weed bed in like 8 feet of water. So very similar to what we started on. And I think first cast, Max moved a small one. And then we kind of went, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes or so without any action and didn't see any fish. And then I had switched to just a regular swimming dog, which has usually been good for us in the spring, just slow rolling it or like long, slow sweeps. And I think it might have been my first cast with it or one of my first few casts with it on, and it hit like
Yep.
after the first or second sweep way out in the cast, and that was a nice 41 3/4.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was a good fight. Yeah, felt good to catch a meaty fish again, and got the shakes a little bit going, so that was good to start the year. And then yeah, I don't
Right.
know if you want to pick it up from there, Gus. Not kind of all downhill after that.
Sure. Yeah. It was a little bit. I mean, that was kind of later in the morning when we were already kind of thinking about lunch. We did have all those fish moved, and then like you said, Max moved on his first cast, and then we kind of went a while without really seeing any activity from fish. It was kind of weird. I mean, it felt like we should still be moving them, but you got that one slow sweeping. I think I looked back at the footage. I remember it was your third cast putting the swimming dog on. I kept
Mhm.
bumping us out in and out from being shallow to deep. You saw them lily pads. You're like, Gus, let me get in there. I had to get you a little closer, and it was like it was up there pretty good. It was up in a lot more of a shallow flat as opposed to the break line. It was cool to see those fish up and moving and eating. Um, of course, after what we had in the afternoon, we probably thought we should have went to that back to that lake or a different one that was similar because we switched up our lake choice by drastic measures and it didn't pay off. I think, okay, well, Max isn't here now because he's got technical difficulties, but I think I'll add something there that he probably would have if he was still here. I think he sat down and gave you the front of the boat there again when you got that one in the swimming dog.
Yeah, I think that was the first time it happened. And at that point, he was like day 7 or 8 of hard musky fishing this year without a fish. So that was our first laugh of me stealing his.
Mm-hmm.
I think he learned his lesson. If you got the front of the boat, you can't leave it.
Yeah, we'll get into that more on a few other occasions. I don't want to steal his thunder and what he has to say about that, but definitely happens. Hopefully he comes back soon. Um, but right before we left for lunch, to bring you into it, Jack, what happened with the decision making and whatever happened with a topwater while it was bright, sunny, and windy? Kind of break that down.
Are you talking on the second lake already? When I brought out the special bait?
No, the first bait,
No,
first morning before lunch,
the
the
Weagle.
Oh,
the walk, the,
oh,
the Weagle.
yeah, it was my first time really trying a Weagle, and I was trying to make it work. Everyone's making fun of me because it's underwater somehow. It's subsurface. It's not working right. And yeah, we're trying to get it to go, and eventually I get like four little back and forths in a row to go, and there's a splash, and I feel weight, and I see the back of the fish like roll over the bait, and I set just, I felt it for a quarter of a second, and then it was just gone. And I don't think you guys believe me. Um,
It was
but
hard to
yeah,
believe.
Yeah, it was hard to believe. Like, there's no way like that early on with a
Off
Weagle.
moon,
well, it's
windy,
also
sunny.
yeah, it's also weird because when we were getting all those fish and seeing fish like every three casts, like even though they'd follow in and like keep going with turns of the bait, it never felt like they were gonna eat at all. Like you knew that no matter what you did, it was nothing. And then
Yeah.
somehow a Weagle being worked poorly in the worst conditions got one to take a swing at it.
Take notes, everybody.
Yeah.
That's a bite right there.
Negative fish, pull out the top water, Weagle.
It's just like a glide bait, just a bit higher.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, five
not the
inches higher, big
not the
deal.
craziest thing.
No.
No. I think that was about the end of our action though on the first day, and then we were like, let's go grab lunch. We went out to eat. We didn't bring food that day, and then I think our decision was already made before we even went into day one to go fish this other lake, which was completely opposite water. We knew it was going to be a lot warmer. We thought it was going to be better. Maybe not so much as like how many fish we moved, but we thought it was going to be better for bites and just kind of action from more bitey fish otherwise. And we struggled big time. I
We
mean,
got a taste of musky fishing.
we got a taste of musky fish and slapped us in the face again, and we went from the first morning having I think around 60 degrees, 60 to 62 or something. Pretty normal for like most lakes of that size, mid-size and mid to small. And then we went to a much darker water system and knew we were going to get, mid 60s and a lot warmer. The sun has been out now for a long time, so probably the temps we got were a little superficial. Um, but still it just went stagnant for us. I think we had one small one up to the boat on our like late into our first drift, I think, as we were kind of like poking around some weed beds. I don't think we had any action yet from pike. Pike kind of came around on some other places that we fished on the lake, but man, I don't know if anybody else wants to add there on day one other than just going to that lake was just probably not our best decision, but it just happens.
Yeah. I mean, it was unexpected, but I think that's what we talked about in the last pod is you catch them in that weird lull coming off spawn, like that water temp. They had probably all spawned out on that body of water, and who knows where they were, super spread out. And I don't know. I don't know what the deal was, but yeah, we'll give that lake a backseat for a little bit. Maybe hit it later in the summer in typical conditions. But yeah, I don't know if you guys have anything else that day one. Otherwise, day two was definitely our best day, Sunday.
Yeah, I think that kind of ends day one. I mean, overall, two fish in the boat, one really nice one. We were all pretty happy about that, and we got a lot of action. Everybody kind of got musky fishing under their belt again. We knew it was. We saw some fish, put a few in the bag. We were like, all right, let's. This is when we saw that Sunday weather where it started to get extremely juicy. Chances of rain and a lot of cloud cover. We're like, we can't pass up on this opportunity to go to Clearwater and go to somewhere with a lot deeper basin and just hopefully get these fish out of their spawn and kind of transitioning out of these spawning areas that we were targeting. Any bays that had a little bit warmer temps by like, anywhere from like a half a degree to a degree warmer than the main lake or so. And it was pretty quick. I mean, I went and we just went and fished like a new spot on the lake to me, but we're just like, this has got to be where some of them spawn. And we just picked a shoreline and just started hucking. And not too far into it, Jack came across one on a beaver. I don't think did we didn't move one at all until then, right? It was just that first fish, first bite. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I don't know if you want to give some details on that, Jack. What you're throwing. I know you got your show
Jack,
me
what
your
was the thought
beaver
process?
hoodie
Thought
on right
process
now.
for throwing a beaver.
Yeah, I mean, like I would say that it was a little bit unorthodox. I mean, you're always down to try something a little bit bigger and slower movements, kind of your like repertoire. I would say you love throwing big baits.
Yeah, I was.
That's kind of your thing. But like typically with opener, everyone talks about small glides, small cranks, small bucktails, and here you are throwing pretty hefty size, all black beaver on opening weekend in Clearwater, and it obviously worked out for you. So give us the rundown. What were you thinking?
Yeah. So I guess the first thing is obviously we're four guys in a boat. That's, we make it work, but sometimes can get tight. When there's four guys, I kind of feel like at least one person has the freedom to do something weird. If you guys are throwing twitch baits and glides, and I can be dumb. And the second thing is really the only thing I'm good at is throwing rubber tubes and I guess beavers I'm all right at because it's the same thing. So it's definitely a confidence thing for me. Um, just sweeping it in. And the main reason is I had just bought the beaver and I wanted to catch something on it. Um, there's not any
It's good reason.
there's not anything really past that. I just wanted to make that bait work and it worked, and I just put an order in for around $300 of more beavers. So
I love that. They finally
so
manned up and got an XL, right?
I got
Let's
two
go.
XLs and I got like the Lake Edition XL and then another one of the same size.
Dang.
So yeah, no, I'm a big fan of the beavers. They remind me of tubes and sweeping my double dogs and stuff like that. So yeah,
That's
that
perfect.
I mean that's really the only thing that went into it. And I think I got the front of the boat just because I stood up the fastest. Um,
Yeah, that's
so
what it
I was able
takes.
to get the spot and we're working the shoreline. I think Gus, I don't know. Actually, no, no one was filming, of course, right? I catch when there's no cameras running. Um,
Max was filming, and he was looking the other way, and I think he glanced over once you hooked up. So we do
yeah, I
have
think it was like
footage.
second or third sweep, and I felt it, said it's her, and got her the bag.
It's
So
her.
Do you want to talk about the you don't have to name names or anything, but I think we got a story of somebody seeing a monster fish out there in the past, and I think our joke for the morning was if we ever hook up, we're just gonna say that it's her. It's the
It's
one.
her.
yeah, no matter what, it's
Sure.
a 18-inch pike. It's her. As soon as you set the hook, you got to start getting the people fired up. Tell them to
It's her.
get the net, get the net.
It's her.
Well,
Um,
I mean you're so sarcastic that when you actually said it's her, I honestly assumed that it was like a pike or a really small fish.
Probably
Because
didn't
like
even think I
I
had
was
one.
I
Yeah.
was doing my own thing out of the back of the boat, and all of a sudden I just hear it's her, and I like look around, and I'm like see Jack kind of reeling this fish. I'm like, oh, cool. And it didn't like it hit me until I saw it just kind of start
Yeah,
mouthing out of the water. I was like, oh, that's a really nice fish.
we saw the mouth from pretty much as soon as I set the hook, the mouth was kind of out of the water. We saw it, and it looked really big from
Yeah, that had a pretty big head on it.
Big noggin.
yeah. We got it in. I think it was like a 42. Um,
Yeah,
so pretty
42 and a
nice one,
half.
especially.
Yep. I was just
Yeah,
looking
I
at the
mean,
board.
we got another 40 for opener, which last year that wasn't the case. So I was pretty excited. Um, excited to be on the board and excited it was another 40.
I was
Beating
just,
frog by
I
like
mean,
what, half an inch or
Yeah.
three
Yeah,
quarters
we
of
were
an
we
inch.
were battling over micro inches all weekend for the board.
All right.
whoa, okay. Had to go down to the micrometer, huh? That's crazy. Well, I mean, we were all stoked for you, Jack. That was a big time fish for many reasons. Just, more fish on the board. You got the one on the beaver that you got over show season. That thing just looked too sexy. It had to get, I was just so stoked that it got eaten, early on in the season because, like Max said, it's like wondering why you went with the larger presentation. But I mean, we were targeting bigger fish, targeting a bigger system. And I think it was just cool that we finally put that game plan together, took took up the heart to go and try it, and it worked on our first pass. I
Yeah,
think
and
that
we
was the best part.
Well,
Also, real quick, it was a big fish because you had to leave early that day because you were about to go do something pretty crazy the following day. So to get a fish right before,
yeah,
I'll let you finish the story. But yeah, pretty special fish.
yeah. I left early to get back home to propose to my girlfriend, so that went well.
Let's go. Let's
That's good.
go,
I'm glad
dog.
that went well.
Glad it
Um,
worked out. Glad it worked
and then
out.
we saw her parents after we had like a get together with both families, and her dad's like, you're gonna have to sell me your fishing gear now. He's like, you're not gonna have time anymore. She's not gonna let you. I said, hold on.
Give me that ring back.
Yeah.
Here you
I
are,
said,
musky
"Don't-
fishing
that's not
the
funny.
day
That's
before
not
you.
funny."
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I think that was like it was a big fish to just prove that we made the right choice finally after like a really struggle bus in the prior day. So yeah, it gave us all a lot of confidence, and then not too long after, like maybe like one spot change later, I threw on a 6-inch Ridgeway and like a
Mhm.
carpy brown walleye pattern, and was just twitching that back and caught another nice 28 long stretch to 30-incher, and
The asterisk on this, we
yeah,
don't bump these tiny fish.
yeah, we're just
We're
kind
just
of
guess.
any small ones just like 28.
Yeah, we're just holding them up to the cam to show off, and the quick release, of course, always.
Yeah. Um,
Those ridgeways look, they look really nice. You're a big fan of those, Brian. I know
6-inch
you like
twitch
throwing that.
nicely.
yeah. Yeah,
Right.
they're super erratic and they have like a wide wobble. They look really good in the water, and yeah, I've been giving it a lot of love, and that was my first fish on it, so it's finally good to at least get some stink on that bait.
Yeah, I definitely like that's good for sure. Good to see that the Twitch baits were continuing to go because I mean it was I would say one confusing part about the weekend. I don't know if you guys noticed this or maybe let me in if I forgot. But did we really get any action on dive and rise? Was that like I don't remember I threw a Suic a
I
good
didn't.
bit. I know Max threw a Suic a good bit. Maybe Navins were present a little bit, which typically a Navin is a good musky mover, but like dive and rise was a no-go. It was rubber
It's
cranks and
weird.
glides and a
Yeah.
wiggle blow up.
Allegedly.
All right, come on. It was there.
Yeah, just messing. Just messing. Yeah, so I would say that day started off good. Felt like we made the right call, and that allowed us because I think we were like, we're gonna hit it in the morning, and we'll make a change to a smaller body of water, kind of some more action stuff if it doesn't pan out for the first few hours. And so I think those fish kind of helped us stick to the game plan, which is always a good thing. And I don't know if Gus, if you'd agree with this, but I still think just because like even though the water temps were, like they were progressing along nicely and whatnot, but like they were still lower, compared to like a midsummer day, and those bite windows still were somewhat tight. And
Yeah.
so we did go through a little bit of a lull there, and then when that window opened again, she opened. It was pretty
It was
cool,
it
and it
was
kind of happened like very unexpectedly, I would say.
it was just like it's like you're fishing in the fall. The windows were a lot tighter, but this is the start of the year. In the fall, you at least go into it like, oh, the moonrise has been money, or 3 o'clock has been money. Like it was clockwork last
Well,
fall, like an hour and a half
oh,
before sunset. Didn't matter about moon, clockwork. I don't know if you're gonna mention the part where nothing on
well,
moon or
just the days in the fall are a lot shorter, so like
sure.
the tight bite windows aren't as big of a deal because like
Yeah.
if you're fishing daylight hours in the fall, you're out there from maybe call it 8 on a good day to like 5:36, where we knew we were going to be on the water from like 7:30 to 7:30, 7 o'clock. So it's like just when you have tight
Sure.
bite windows and you're
Yeah.
fishing for 12 hours, it changes the mindset a little bit. It's a little harder to
Yeah, it is
stick
a
with the
little harder because
program.
we had, I mean, yeah, we posted the pictures. It looks all great on paper, but like we were running 4 people. Um, we fished hard. Uh, I would say we didn't fish any sunset bites at all. We didn't fish any night times, but when we fished from morning to, about 7:30 at night, we fished as hard as we could for sure. And it was another lull after Brian's small fish. Spot jumping, a couple spots that I liked there, and then a couple new spots, and then we were fishing beyond a new spot or beyond a spot I liked. And I told the guys, I'm like, I don't know what's here at all, but let's just fish it. Like we know it's near a very good area, and we didn't move anything in that at all. And
Well, yeah, we had kind of gotten to the end of that drift, and
oh, it was
I
for
don't
sure
even.
the end.
I was about to hang up the lure. Like I didn't. Yeah, well, the shoreline ahead was no trees and timber, which is what we had been fishing, where we've been seeing fish. So I was like about ready to hang it up, and I think Max saw the same sort of thing going on ahead of us. So he took a quick breather and switched out his Band-Aid over his wound, and
Yeah.
I stepped up to his spot. I'm gonna take the front of the boat if he's not there, and first cast. Got clobbered on a, a pit bull. And what was that? What was that one? 41 on the dot or what?
You could
I
have,
don't even,
yeah.
I think you could
You
have
didn't give
stretched
it a
that
good
one.
tournament stretch.
I looked back at the footage there. You just did one of the tails, and then I looked. I'm like, that other tail was like an inch and a half longer,
Yeah.
and you just went and
Yeah.
held up. It was like 41 and some change or something like that. I'm like, oh, you could have had grape over there by a good
Hey, I'm
half
not
inch and a half.
greedy. I'm just happy to catch fish.
Oh,
That's a
really?
good man right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
I
big
should
heart.
in
Big heart.
hindsight,
Big heart.
I should have handed the rod off to Max. That was wrong of me to step
Oh
in there and
wow,
grab one, but
what would
man.
you have
If
thought
you would have
there,
handed the rod
Max?
off, I would have put his ass in the water. There's no doubt about it. It would have been
Here
sight
you go,
unseen.
buddy.
You
Here
would have
you go,
been
buddy.
taking a swim.
Here you go, buddy. It's already set. Real.
Real.
Keep tension. Keep tension.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah, that we'll probably talk about it at the end, but that has been like kind of a long list of how my year has started. If anyone needs to take some solace in struggling musky fishing, just hilarious on that particular one where Brian, had caught a nice fish. Gus obviously has been lighting it up at the beginning of the year. Jack gets his nice fish, and we're all kind of like, all right, Max, you can have the front of the boat. I'm up there just, kind of hucking my little heart away, having a good time, just, fishing hard. And literally, I had gotten a wound the day before trying to release a pike, which is nothing new for me. If you've listened to any of our past podcasts, I'm pretty good at putting a hook or two in my thumb at the beginning of almost every year. And so that trend continued, trying to hand release a pike over the side of the boat, driving a hook through my thumb, fun times. And so I literally, this, like Brian said, the spot was dead. I'm like, you know what? This is a good time to kind of rebandage my thumb. I literally just had opened up the first aid kit, and I turned around hearing Brian just going, go. I'm like, you got it. I mean, I think it was your first cast.
It was my first
I had
cast. Yeah.
your first cast.
unreal.
So that fish was sitting by a submerged tree that we couldn't see actually from the shoreline. When we actually saw the spot, there was a nice big submerged tree, and since it was at the front of the boat, side image hadn't picked it up, and like Gus mentioned, we really haven't fished that spot much. So that was just hilarious. He makes a perfect cast unbeknownst to himself. Not to denigrate it all here, Brian. You're obviously you finesse that fish and eat, and who knows, maybe if I'm still up there casting and I'm throwing at that tree and it doesn't eat, and then you get it, maybe it stings even more. But yeah, it was obviously good to see. All jokes aside, it was another like, all right, this is turning into a pretty good day here. And then Gus, I don't know if you want to kind of just take it over, but talking about windows and tight bite windows in colder water, I think that held pretty true for what transpired there next.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head on the shoreline was very unassuming, very not great. And then after we caught the fish, we kind of blew around a little bit and we ended up a little closer to the shore after releasing it. And I'm like, oh well there's where it was sitting by. All of a sudden there was some logs there like that just showed back up again. So I'm like, okay, so maybe this shoreline isn't so bad. and we'll just keep going on it. And got that one. I don't know what time it was, but it was not in moon phase at all. But we figured like once they're biting, we might as well capitalize on this and stay here rather than go to the other side of the lake because we had a few other nice fish moved, but they were kind of far away. Um, we would have had to pick up and move the vessel over there, but we kept going. Still fishing new water, and we did not. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I did just remember this was about 1 p.m. on Sunday, and I'm like, okay, let's just keep going down the shoreline. And we didn't run it on day one. We didn't bring the live scope, but this day we did bring the live scope, and just because we had so many people running baits, I was always keeping check on it if anybody had like a late follow, and I was sitting there changing baits. I wanted to change to a tube. I don't think I even threw a tube yet the entire weekend, and I was sitting down and I stood back up and I pitch a cast. I'm like, oh yeah, that looks good. And I look at side image and there's just this super hazy shadow like really far away, and I'm like, okay, that usually means that a muskie was high up. I'm like, guys, I think one just late followed one of you and just like lazily went behind the boat or something like that. And I like turn the live and I'm like, oh yeah, that's definitely a fish, and with my experience and fish, on live scope is pretty poor. They usually just never ever eat. I pitch it back, and I think the only reason I probably caught the fish was because I wasn't looking at the screen. And I think even for a second there, I had my hand like on my head, scratching. I was just like so nonchalant and so used to just like, if, oh, I'm pitching at a fish that we know was there or just past the boat, this is not going to eat. And I gave it a couple pumps, and this, this frickin' mid 40s just choked it. No questions asked. Just like it's never seen a bait before. And just thrashed hard, and Jack, I think you got the net under it pretty quickly, and I was like, oh my God, that was that was pretty nuts. That usually just like never happens, and we were just having such a day up to that point. That was such a bonus fish. Sorry, Brian, Jack had to take the leaderboard from you. We run a leaderboard here for top three muskies. Bumped you guys down to 2 and 3 very quickly because prior to the weekend I was running 1, 2, and 3, but it's because I've been out musky fishing. The caveat on that, obviously.
Yeah,
But
a little bit
had
of
to take
difference.
had to yeah had to have to do a little humble brag here. Yep, had took the spot back on the top seat. So
Hey, real quick, Gus. I just wanted to mention this while we're talking about these fish because I don't think we got into it. But Brian caught his on the you caught yours on the pit bull, and Brian caught his on or sorry, you caught yours on the tube. Brian caught his on the pit bull.
yep,
We didn't really talk about that a little bit, but I do want to touch on it because it's going to be a new bait that's coming out.
sure.
And I mean, I fished it a good bit this weekend. I loved it. Brian, obviously, you got to be a newfound believer in the pit bull. What did you think of it when you were fishing it?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of skeptical of it, like when I was just hearing Gus talk about it prior to the weekend. Like,
What
I didn't
what
think,
made you
well,
skeptical?
I didn't think there was much of a middle ground between a mag dog and a reg dog. Like, I felt like they were a good, gap in between the size difference, and like, what's
Okay, fair
something
enough.
like, an inch shorter or whatever, and a few ounces lighter gonna matter. Like, I still kind of think that, but like, it does work really well. It's got a flexible harness. I mean, I'll still throw a reg dog, like depending on the bite of the day. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely weird to me. Like, does it really matter the size between that and a mag dog, that and a reg dog if you're throwing it on a fish's head or whatever? But I mean, they work great. Um, Obviously, it caught me a fish, so yeah, I think just another bait in the arsenal to look at and make a decision on the whim whether I want to throw that or a mag dog. But I mean, yeah, they work great, and obviously it works. So.
I would say throwing it a good bit this weekend. The biggest difference that I saw was like it does fill the gap nicely in my opinion. I mean, I granted we can disagree on it, which is all good. I just feel like the reg dog sometimes feels like almost too small. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you're fishing rubber, like you kind of want a little bit bigger profile, and like the mag dog, it's an amazing bait. Obviously, it's been a staple for a long time. But the reality of the Mag Dog is like it's kind of tough to throw at times. If you don't have the right setup. If you have the right setup, but obviously it's much easier. But it's still a big bait, pulls pretty hard. I would say that pit bull, we were throwing it on of our, not our heaviest gear, and like it was fine, and it did give off a big profile. I did not have a hard time pulling that pit bull much. I didn't mind it at all.
I agree there. I think it for sure covers the middle ground. A few things on it on that kind of like I can take away from the pit bull, and if people want to get it, for sure get it. If you're skeptical, like it's just another a bait in that size or whatever. Um I think it's like still got a nice profile. I feel like it caters to more of like a reg dog is perfect for a system where we got mainly small perch, but as soon as you get to some of these other systems that have larger forage, like they have larger perch, they got Cisco's, they got suckers that are, larger than other systems. The Mag Dog is nice, but like Max is saying, it can be hard to throw, and I think it for how we like to work rubber, it can be really exhausting over weeds, and I feel like the pit bull is like that perfect middle ground because if you work a reg dog too hard, that thing's blowing out of the water. um, Pitbull, I feel like will cover that ground of like still a big profile, big enough to just hop here and there over the weeds, or
I
like
would
what we're
be
doing is sweeping it down the breaks and off the shoreline. But
I would be
yeah,
curious if they do come out with a shallow version.
I believe they are. Um,
Yeah,
I
agreed.
I
Agreed
I
with that.
think that would be awesome. I think they are. I hope they are. I would use that a ton. I
Go,
would use that in the fall. One quick thing to add on the pit bull
yeah. Go
is
ahead.
that typically sometimes I gotta bend around some harnesses. I got three of these pit bulls. I've thrown all three of them now, and every single one hops insanely nice without doing any bending, hops left and right. And the fall on it, I don't know if it like because of the head weight is different because they went with the exact specs between a reg dog and a mag dog, but if they went in between the specs on weight, it's a little different. It's like on the heavier side. With how the head drops, it like flutters on the way down. I don't know. It looks very nice. Um, it's kind of just like what I'd want to see out of a good rubber bait. It'll be thrown a lot in our boat, I think, all year.
Yeah, I agree. I will echo kind of what I think what Brian was getting at, and where I agree with him though is like with the shallow version of the pit bull, that would be nice because I think the difference between like a pit bull and a reg dog is if you have a reg dog that's not a shallow version, you can still keep that up in pretty thick cover fairly easily. You can hop it through weeds and over weeds.
It
The
stays.
the regular pit bull, if it if we were fishing like a shallow bay like we were on Monday, you really can't. It's a harder to get through that like thicker cover.
Well,
Um,
it was, but I think if we had to work it over that cover, I think we would have had to work it too fast for the water temps we were going, and that just wasn't
true,
the bite. We had to let it hang, and
true.
like Brian got that one on Sunday because we're fishing slightly, like it was a little steeper. We weren't fishing a flat, we were fishing shoreline, and you could kind of sweep it down um the break line, but I definitely felt if we were fishing like thicker weeds and stuff, I wasn't gonna throw the pit bull on for this, 60 to 65-degree water. I felt like I was moving too
Right.
fast. I think we'll save that for July and August, I think. But
Yeah, I just feel like if you did have a shallow version of the pit bull, that could be really deadly for like midsummer
oh yeah, I agree.
weed
I
bite.
love shallow versions of rubber baits. The Medusas and Bulldogs, the shallow versions are awesome. Just weight them more if you buy some heavy heads, buy some the ones that you can split ring underneath underneath the hook hanger on the head. So
Just make the shallow version the regular version.
yeah, we'll
Yeah,
make an even shallower version.
I guess I am. I'm very hypocritical because I love the alpha dog, and it's literally just a
Yeah,
longer tail. But yeah, I don't know. We'll use them all year long. So yeah.
no,
Anyways,
it's good to disagree, I think, a little bit sometimes on the bait stuff, that's why
sure.
not everyone buys the same stuff.
Yeah. All right. So then did we wrap up Sunday with Gus's catch then? I mean, we didn't. I mean, did we move many fish after that?
It
Just a
took a
few.
bit. Remember? Okay, so
Yeah,
here's
yeah, we
one.
went through the major started like an hour after your catch, and it
Yeah.
went dead.
Yeah, so Brian caught that one. It was not more than 10, 15 minutes later, or just I can't remember, but it's very short down that shoreline. I caught the night, the mid 40s, and Max was kind of shooting the camera at me, and I released it, and I look at it and I'm like, after that bite window, I'm like, all right, now let's get ready to not see a single fish during the major. And we went the entire major without even seeing a single fish. And it ended, late afternoon. And then we saw a couple. I think right? Didn't we I know we had a couple moved earlier in the day. We didn't touch on too much, but we had some waypoints to go back to, and I think there was one maybe kind of hot on another bait, Max. Maybe.
Yeah,
Didn't
but
you have
it was
one?
just slow at nights. There was some
Oh,
moon event happening every single night, like an hour to 2.5 to 3 hours after sunset, and it just felt like once that afternoon window shut down, it was just they just kind of stopped doing
they,
stuff. I mean,
yeah.
yeah,
It was we always had some lulls every afternoon of all 3 days up until this past Tuesday. Even that felt tough on the first night of Tuesday night league, but yeah, then we just hopped off the water with I don't know at like 7 o'clock or something like that. So we didn't go as hard as some of those Minnesota boys did,
Yeah, I
and
was gonna
I
say
mean
after listening to Tyler
we
and
sh
Alex, we should have gone back after
as I
the
say we
a
should
lot of
have
those
went
fish at
we
3
should have
a.m.
went home and napped or just napped in the truck and then went back after it or something like that for
Yeah,
the night moon phase.
one of our bender weekends we'll commit to getting into the 1, 2, maybe 3 a.m.
hmm
hours.
We'll just
See what
lose the
happens.
sleep that weekend. We'll see. We'll
We
see.
owe it to the muskie.
we always say it though, and then it's in
We
real
just gotta
time.
plan the days. Like we're just gonna sleep in, figure out if we want naps or not, and go
Yeah.
hit it.
Yeah. It's tough because well, on that day the weather was just so juicy during the day. Like we couldn't just sleep during any of the day, but there has been some of those July, August, September days or weekends where we go out and it's just horrible weather during the day and we beat our heads against the wall and fish all the daylight hours and then go back and go to bed and be like, "Oh, well that stunk."
Hmm.
And those are definitely the ones we got to do that, but
I want to
um
see Gus like two monsters deep at 3 a.m. just grinding.
I got like freaking paper clips or whatever opening my eyes and
You won't need them with those.
not even saying a
Yeah.
word.
So yeah, it was but yeah, no, overall a good day, obviously. I mean, Brian, 4 fish in 2 days. You had to have been feeling pretty good Saturday night, walking around with your chest puffed out a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe had a few extra bites of food that night, just had to fuel up,
Hmm. Yeah, burned a lot of calories setting the hook, fighting the fish. It's not easy, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Right,
I
right.
get you. I get you. All right. Well, do you want to kind of wrap us up here, Gus, with Monday, finishing out the
Hmm.
weekend, and kind of what to look forward to moving into the early parts of the summer here?
For sure. Yeah, I mean we had such a blast already on day 1 and 2 that we saw the weather kind of moving into a post-frontal system and just not being great. But in the morning it looked decent and we're like, okay, let's try and capitalize again on this, large system, clear water, fishing, outskirts of spawning bays on the shoreline, weeds and wood and stuff. And it's like, screw it, let's shoot for the fences. And we went to another body of water that's known for low density and we had some fish going fairly early. Um, they were just lazy, and it seemed like it was probably because of such great weather on Sunday that most of the fish in the system ate and started moving around. And, The sun was poking out here and there. The water was warming up a little bit more. The fish were probably on the move a lot more. And
This lake, real quick, was like, I mean, because I've fished it in the summer and fall, and it probably had like an extra 5 feet of clarity than what it does
mhm.
when like the algae bloom and stuff starts. So
Oh yeah.
it was weird to fish it. Max had to follow like with I don't know an hour or two into the day, that was super low and slow behind it, and then it just kind of swam under the boat in like I don't know 8 to 10 feet of water. We could see it clear as day, and it's like that guy's not eating.
Real quick, what that follow was so hilarious because it was like if you would have been in slightly dirtier water, or
Yeah,
even like if there had been like a chop on the water, like a slight chop on the
yeah, you're
water,
not
we would
seeing
have
that.
never seen that
It was
fish.
a
And
good fish too. It was a big black mark going along the water.
yeah, it was
Sure. Oh yeah.
definitely a mid 40s, real healthy built fish. But like, it just kind of cracks me up. It's like, how many times do you think that like happens throughout the day? You would have zero clue because that fish never even showed up on side imaging. And it's like, well, it was, we were looking at it, it was there.
Yeah, that is wild to think about sometimes. It's yeah.
It was like moving so fast that I don't think side imaging ever even picked it up because it was
Yeah,
just
it
insane. I mean,
was. Yeah.
to describe the spot, it was like a, maybe 20 foot, of weeds kind of coming out of this like half moon type area bay. And then it was just sand. And we were sitting at about 11 feet of water. You could pretty much see the bottom. Maybe a little shallower we were in, but you could see the bottom. It's just sand. So the fish comes flying out of the weeds like on the bottom of the sand. My bait, I think I was throwing like a suic or something at the time. So my bait's only like 2-3 feet under the water, and fish was like, I mean, Brian, you remember it was like hovering on the sand,
Yeah,
just like coming in
just
quick, and then it like
gliding.
darted off super fast, and like joking with Gus, like, check side, check side. I knew it was there,
I'm like, it ain't
and
there. I
it
saw
had
it
never
too,
showed
though.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out
We
Garmin.
shout out Gar. Brian got beef with everybody, dude.
I'm
Um,
just a little jealous of those Humminbird guys, 360. Seems like pretty cool stuff.
I mean, it would be sweet if
Doesn't
Garmin
come with
came
the
out with the
scrutiny of
threes.
live scope, but
You're
it's
such a
damn near
hater,
the
dude.
same thing.
You're such a hater.
It's a story for another day.
Unreal.
Yeah. Well, the morning was fairly uneventful, other than just the follows. We didn't have any fish that remotely seemed like they wanted to eat, and then we just decided to fish some like uber shallow stuff where we thought maybe the water was going to be a little bit dingier in the slightest. Look for a little bit of some junk weeds with some, current involved there, and just kind of out of nowhere because I didn't know the spot at all. It was brand new, and none of us did. We were all just kind of pitching around and trying to figure out the layout of it, and straight retrieving an old little swimming dog, the same one or a different color than what actually Brian got on day one, but another nice 40-inch fish, ate it, no questions asked, and came into the bag okay. I had it on the medium heavy setup, so it was dogging me pretty good, and it I think it popped off in the bag. I knew it was not hooked very well. At this point, our father joined up, and it was like the first spot, maybe second spot with him in the boat. So we thought he was a good luck charm. Um, it didn't really pan out that way towards the end of the day, but it was great to see. It was another day with the fish in the bag. We were super stoked. Um, and I think after we released it, we kind of went over to where I casted to get it, and in the weeds there was just like a giant log, like perfectly in there. Like I accidentally, perfectly, I guess, casted at a tree I didn't know existed, and that's definitely where it came from. So, weeds and wood were kind of the big thing on the weekend, for a majority of our big bites and larger fish that we saw.
Mm-hmm. Jack, I want to tap you back in here real quick. When you had to head out on Saturday, did you think you were bowing out on something special that afternoon, and then we blanked, or were you were you
Dude,
were you kind of good to go with what you'd already done that day?
I think I messaged Gus about it later. Maybe it was I messaged one of you guys about it. I was like, dude, all I like to do is throw rubber tubes, and now beavers. And in the course of 10 minutes, when my rods and baits are packed up, in the course of 10 minutes, you guys catch 2 over 40 on a tube and a pit bull. I'm like, God, like, are you the one time where like shit's going my way, I gotta go. Um, no, I thought you guys were in for a good one, dude. I thought we cracked the code. I thought you guys had it down. I thought it was gonna be insane.
You'd think that if you would have hung around the next day and a half, maybe our fortunes would have been a little different. Maybe a few extra fish would have hit the bag. What do you think?
I would have been throwing pretty much only a beaver. So if they were after beavers, yeah. Oh yeah, they would hit the bag.
If not, we're screwed.
Yep, pretty much.
One other funny thing to touch on the weekend. So since we had 4 running, if we were running like a shoreline, one person had to huck out the back, and there could be fish out there here and there, but that we didn't see that being the case with us. It never happened. And when Jack was in the back out there throwing, every once in a while he'd be like, "All right, Gus, what am I looking at here?" And I'd be like, "Not a lot." And he'd be like, "All right, I'm sitting down."
Yeah, I'd be
Just
off
a
the
blank slate out
I'll be
there.
like, mud.
Yep, I'd be off the back corner quite a bit just because you guys are throwing the glides and the twitches and stuff. And of course I got like a reg dog on or a double dog or something that shouldn't be throwing this time of year. So it's like, all right, go throw out in the deeper stuff. Whatever. Yeah. And for the first few spots of the first day into the second day, I have energy. I'm ready to go. I'm excited to be back out there. And then like you start to get tired, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, dude, if I'm not casting at something, man, just let me know. Like say
I'm just wasting my shoulders out
like
here.
just let me know. I'll sit down. I'll
Oh,
I don't know.
that's
I'll
when
do anything else.
that's when the Dream Stakes sweepstakes came about.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was making my Instagram post today, just of my fish, and I was kind of gonna make some jokes about, won the Muskies on Tap Dream Stakes sweepstakes giveaway, fish opener with them. They forced me to wear their merch. They forced me to fish off the back corner of the boat, casting into nothing.
Casting into mud flats all weekend.
They forced me to pick up snacks on the way. But I wasn't allowed to have any of theirs.
Were you allowed to talk in the boat?
Nope, wasn't allowed to talk. Wasn't allowed to say anything.
How did you get to the launch with the blindfold on?
Yep, they put me in the car, spun me around 10 times, put a blindfold on me, drove me an hour and a half. Just drove circles around the parking lot to disorient me, and then once we were out of the spot, the blindfold came off. They gave me the little kid rod and sent me to the back corner and told me not to say
watch us
anything.
catch one, boy.
Joke's on you. You're on Cranberry all weekend. You just had no idea.
Yeah, you're on the chain.
There's no way we were there.
That would not have happened.
No. There's no way we catch like 4 over 40 on opener. Or 5 was it? I don't even know. No, there was some funny moments fishing with the Mott crew making fun of them. I always feel bad though, like real quick, especially like when I'm making fun of you guys on Instagram. I feel bad like people are gonna take it serious. It's like, dude, went to high school with Gus. I've been fishing with him for years.
Yeah,
like years before this, and now like I'm poking fun at him. I'm sure people are like, dude, who is this great guy?
Gus, you need us to take care of this guy for you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Always asking about why are the pictures blurred? Like, where were you fishing? Oh yeah, and I answer serious like you're but
But
all
well,
good stuff.
hopefully people get it eventually.
Yeah, no, it was a great weekend, and honestly, fishing 4 out of the boat, if it's done right, can be a lot of fun. And like Jack said, you get to experiment with some new baits and try some different stuff out. And obviously, it worked out for you this weekend, so that was awesome. But Gus, you've been out on the water since then as well. What for the people that weren't able to make it out Memorial Day weekend and will be up this weekend, what are you kind of seeing out there to get them to look forward to?
Seeing a lot more sunshine. Today was 65 and sunny, not a cloud in the sky. Tomorrow, Thursday, is going to be 74 or something and sunny, not a cloud in the sky. Our water temps are finally going to jump up. I was on some more stain stuff. I fished a little bit of the chain, of course, because it was the first night of Tuesday night league, and still saw like 60 to 61 degree temps, and it's fishing was just kind of tough a little bit, and was out in the morning and had some couple really good bites. Went 2 for 3 in the morning, and I think 2 for 3 in the afternoon on Tuesday. And of course, the 4 that were landed were all very small, and the ones that we lost were actually very nice sized for the waters that we were fishing. Laid eyes on a couple big ones, still throwing the swim baits. Gliders have been a big proponent. I've been throwing a bunch of the super glides by Tom's Custom Baits. I've been throwing a bunch of the Conklin pedigrees. We've been throwing a good amount of hellhounds. Um, those have kind of been coming into play. The small twitch baits, I was twitching around, I think, like a 6-inch grandma a good bit, shallow rater a good bit, a big guy baits, 7-inch twitch bait a good bit, and then anything else similar. We actually surprisingly didn't really throw slammers a whole bunch. I know we talk about those all the time. That's always a good one too. Cranes are good ones too. Twitch baits seem to definitely take the cake. Twitch and glide the past few days. So I could see that being good when it's super, super tough and sunny out, is to throw in a glide bait or a twitch bait and let it hang in their face a little bit more. But it's gonna be, I think the fishing is gonna be pretty good. I would just say that the fish are still gonna stay scattered. I don't know how much some of these bites that we were kind of after are gonna hold. I'm going to start already checking open water as these temps progress. These post spawn fish are going to push out. These warmer temps are definitely going to start the bug hatches. We still have a long ways to go until we have some established, low to mid 70s temps, good weeds, and fish, holding into that type of stuff. So it's going to be a month of grinding out your bite windows, and I would say picking your lakes accordingly day by day. If you pick like the same lake every day, and two of the 5 days were really good, pay attention to those 2 days that were really good. Uh, Go back to lakes like that when it was really good, and when it was really bad, just kind of take notes, remember that, and go to a different type of system, and kind of go from there. But yeah, stick it out. Throw a mixture of some small stuff with depending on the system. I'll probably start throwing some larger stuff in open water when I do that. And I'm just gonna keep mixing it up. I mean, over the weekend we caught fish on a ton of different size baits, and I know plenty of people on opening weekend up here caught fish on small bucktails, small little glide baits, and stuff. I don't think I heard a report, and unless you guys did in northern Wisconsin, anybody catch anything on something really, really big. Um, I'm not sure, but it seemed like small to medium has been just the name of the game. So I think that's what I got there.
Cool. Well, yeah, no, appreciate the kind of update on what's going on. Next week, obviously, we have the PMTT preview pod. I'm not sure what else is going to be going on in that one, but I'm sure we'll cook something else up. Before we do sign off here, I wanted to give a shout out to one of the listeners who sent us a DM fishing down in the Green Bay area for Northern Opener. He's out there with his dad, Nick D. Taylor, 11. Great number, by the way. Old high school hockey number. Pretty sure you can see that still in the rafters. You visit Tri-County Ice Arena in Wisconsin.
Whoa.
Anyways, so yeah, Nick Taylor wrote in that him and his dad went out, fished Green Bay, kind of rode the wave, similar as we did a little bit with some tough stretches, but they ended up managing to have one hell of a day Put a handful of muskies in the boat, but it was capped off by a giant 54-inch muskie that his dad caught. So just wanted to give him a shout out. Anytime you can put a 54-incher in the boat on opener, that's a damn good start to the season.
I'd have to fully agree on that. I would love to maybe lay eyes on a 54 up here in the Northwoods. I'd probably be back to that fish every single day until she hits the bag, if she ever even will.
Yeah, she exists.
That's true. That's also true. But all right, guys, I think that wraps up the opener talk. I hope everybody out there listening had a fun and successful opener. We got a long season ahead of us, and I think it's going to be a good one. It's a good start, and hope to keep it progressing in that fashion. So if you want to give us a look on Instagram, we're there. Muskies on Tap. I also have my Instagram, Suggs Fishing. We posting, a good bit now, just kind of checking in, some pictures of, clients with fish and all that good stuff. And also got a Facebook, which is Suggs Fishing Guide Service, or add me as a friend, which is just Gus Manty. And if you want to book a trip or find more info, you can also find that at www.suggsfishing.com. Suggs is just Suggs. Sug comes from my name Gus, just spelled backwards. It's a long nickname. I know some people have kind of asked about that, so that's been a nickname of mine for a long time. And yeah, let's get fishing this year. I still got a couple openings dabbled between June and July. But if you're looking for one of the tasty moon phases coming up in August, September, October, don't sleep on those. Those could start going quickly. I know always those are the first to go, and same with weekends. So if you're just planning a weekend trip, be sure to reach out. So with that
Brian,
being said,
take us away.
Brian, take us away.
Well, with Minnesota opener here on the upcoming weekend, no better than to have two Minnesota sticks on the line with us tonight. We got Tyler Schlabsz and none other than Alex Mclean making his second appearance on Muskies on Tap. How you boys doing tonight?
Doing
Good
good.
evening. Yes, good evening, gentlemen. We are doing very well.
Good.
Awesome.
I'm glad to hear it. We're going to get into a bunch of Minnesota opener stuff this evening, but I wanted to start out asking you guys about a particular evening you guys had last summer where you were able to manage two monstrous fish. And I think that there's a little bit more to the story than just the two catches. So if you guys know the night I'm talking about, I'll let you guys kind of tandem the story if you want. But for all the listeners here that don't know these guys, which I'm sure is very few, they had one particular night last summer where they put two absolute monstrosities of muskies in the bag, and I'll just kind of let them take it away because it's a good story.
I'll let
Oh boy.
Alex lead on this one.
Yeah, all right, sure, yeah. Well, we did have Tyler, I lose track of things. So what week of the month was that?
It was during the muskie battle.
Yeah. So we were having our annual muskie battle
I want to
trip,
say it
which-
was end of September.
That's right. I think it was, yeah.
End of September.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, so yeah, we were having our annual muskie battle trip, which you guys are now familiar with.
Mhm.
A lot of great guys get together, and it's not a tourney or anything. It's just more like a competitive shit show is the best way I can put it. It was, I mean, the fishing overall was okay throughout the week, and I don't know, just got to that point of the year where all the fish, had transitioned into that shallow water, that sand bite. But in our clear basin lakes up in northern Minnesota, especially the last 2 years, we've had a lot of fish moving around and jumping around spots, unusual spots, things like that. But we were all at the bar. We were all at the bar on the last night of the Muskie Battle, having a good time. Some guys were saying their goodbyes. Other guys were just having one too many. And Tyler might have been one of those guys who had a couple extra with the beach pushes and stuff.
I blame Kyle.
Shout out to Kyle Friedges on those. Those
Beach
really got us
push guy,
going.
huh?
Oh
Yeah, those are the best.
Yeah. Anyways, that got Tyler going, and all night he just kept slurring out, "Oh, we're going out tonight. I'm feeling it. We're going out tonight." And normally I would never cater to such an event, but it was, I don't know what time it was, Tyler, when we went out, 1:30, I think it was, when everyone was kind of wrapping up at bar close,
1:30 a.m.
saying our goodbyes, and this guy's just, we gotta go put it in. Let's go put the boat in. And everyone was
Luckily,
like,
Alex was pretty sober then, but
you're not, yeah. Everyone else is like, oh, you guys aren't going out. You guys really aren't going out. No. I kept saying no because I didn't think he was serious. But then he's like, let's go. We're going out. It feels right. And I looked outside and it's blowing like, it was blowing like 20 miles an hour, like straight out of the west. I'm thinking we're going to fish on the other side of the lake too, which is the east side. And I'm like, all right, this is, life's short. Maybe we could come up with a story to tell tonight, and lo and behold, we made a pass on a very shallow common stretch that everyone up north knows. And we got a 46 in like the first, probably, I don't know, 5-6 minutes, few casts in. So we're like, that fish just fell off the cliff. Literally within 24 hours, but I forgot that we caught that fish.
Yeah, I know. I was like showing Alex
actually
a picture. I was like, when did we catch that? He's like, that was the first fish we caught that night. I was like, oh shit, totally forgot.
So, and we were only going to make one pass because it was beating on us, but then the wind just laid flat. The moon was bright. Everything just felt really greasy all of a sudden. And so we, on a one pass, turned into 7 passes. We found that the fish were starting to like really stack together in a little, like they're very, I don't know, that time of year, especially as you get to the September, October months, fish tend to get real groupy up there, and they hop around spot to spot in packs, And we really got on a pack, and we just made pass after pass after pass, and pulled out the old jointed Crisco. That's never been a secret up here for a number of years, but don't sleep on that cheap bait. That thing has had some serious fish for us in the past decade.
Especially if you fish at night.
Yep. And nothing real special about this, about the story. That thing just choked it easy into the net, just elation. I knew it right away, and I was like, you get your hand up in those real special fish, and you're like, this Tyler, I'm dead nervous right now what I'm going to see on the board, And it just kept coming out of the bag in 56. So personal best, and Tyler was such a great
I was like
support,
freaking
man.
out. I was just like, dang, this made the week.
I'm so happy for you. Slurring still, like
whatever, dude.
Oh, no. But so yeah, I was psyched. I'm like, we might as well keep casting. Might as well keep going, keep going down the break here, and came down to the end of the break to a point where it kind of rounds off. It's a nice sand point, and what was it, Tyler? 10 minutes? 10 minutes after?
I think it was 5 minutes.
10 minutes maybe. And he's like, got her. And I think, what did you have? You had 10s, right? Frenzy?
No, I had
Frenzy 10s?
Yeah, IC10, yep.
IC10s, yeah, yep. And that bait also has been just deadly for us the last couple of years. But I didn't think it was a giant. I thought he was just kind of like, exaggerating in his state of mind a little bit. Then the thing just sharked out towards the net, and we just lost it. I mean,
yeah,
that's a moment. It's a boat moment they would never forget. No one would ever forget. And I knew it right away. I was like, this is gonna push the envelope of legal as well. And sure enough, it was like pretty close to 54.25. So 2 legals.
Right. I couldn't wait to tell the guys the musky, but I feel like
Yeah,
you guys were all talking shit
everyone
when I was
else.
saying let's go out. You're like, you guys are idiots. Especially our buddy
Unreal.
Jace, he's like, you guys are absolute idiots for wanting to go out right now. I'm like, dude,
Yeah, we
just gotta feel it.
we trolled on him for a little bit in the group chat before we let him know what happened. But
So how late in the night was that when you caught the second?
It was probably 3.
Yeah,
I think it was 3:40
or
no, it was
3:45. 3:45.
3:45 because
Yep.
then after that for the rest of like the year.
That set the tone of what our because I don't know, honestly, like the Minnesota lakes, these fish have really adapted to everything immensely over, in the last few years, between all the pressure, like the pressure of live scope and the open water bite, and all the fish are very transient. Like they'll constantly be moving around. They don't settle very long anymore in spots, no matter what time of year. And that when we got on that bite from 1 to 3:45, we were like, well, maybe we just need to start launching, at midnight and just fishing 12 to 5 a.m. And that really set the tone for the rest of the year, because we got into some serious fish the rest of the year into November, fishing those hours. And the 3 a.m. hour was just magic last year. So many big fish on that 3 a.m. hour.
Yeah, because we had a pretty good end of
November
June, July, August, and then end of August and all of September was just trash for us. And then till that night, and then after that night we started going out at 10 p.m., 11 p.m., 12 a.m. and fish until 4 a.m. or till the sun came up, and
generally,
just crushed them.
Generally we would get, we'd be excited. Oh, September's here, the sand bite, they're moving up ultra shallow, and just wasn't really going. The fish just never wanted to settle in, and when they did, they wouldn't stay for long, and they feel the pressure immediately. And if you you slide a boat up on those sandfish, they were just evacuating right away last year. So we had to hit them late into the night and find a way that every night they would pull up they'd be pulling up into a different spot. So
it was weird because we'd check spots and then come back 45 minutes later and there's 5-6 fish there on side imaging.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an insane story for a lot of different reasons. You always think that those ideas sound like a good idea at the time, and then they rarely ever kind of pan out. One, but two, I'd be curious to know how many people on this earth have ever caught 100 inches worth of muskie in 10 minutes. I mean, I don't.
I'm sure there's a
probably
couple,
a few,
yeah.
but you could probably count them on your two hands. I don't know.
Yeah,
So
that's
crazy story.
Something that'll never probably happen to us again. We'll be really lucky if it does, but
yeah,
definitely something we won't forget.
100 inches is something, but 110.
Yeah. True.
Right.
That
true. Over 110.
I don't think we could ever replicate something like that. The moment itself, we were both just feeling good. The muskie battle was such an awesome event with all the guys again. Everyone had a good time as always, and we were just, the whole night was just, it was, in terms of fishing standpoint and fishing life, that was the top of the top, in my opinion.
I mean, it's just kind of crazy because you just come off of a few days of fishing super hard, I'm sure late nights, early mornings, and then to go do that and make it happen is pretty sweet. And yeah, sorry, I'm not the math guy on the podcast. That's Brian. So yeah, you're right. 110 inches of muskie is
the thing is, I was adding that up in my head, and I was like 56, 54. Like, yeah, 100 inches.
Yeah. That's it.
It's our resident math guy.
Man. That's awesome. What I always wonder is how do you guys manage your sleep when you do that? When you start to become the night owls and get out all the time at night, do you just sleep during the day and just know to not go out?
No, I would tell my buddies, just, we don't manage it. Every Monday morning going to work, I just felt physically sick. And so I don't know if we have it cut out for us very much to try to do that anymore. But last fall was special because that's I don't know, that's when the fish were going, and we had to just grind it out to make something happen every time.
And
Yeah.
I would
And I
just
don't know how
never.
I don't know how Alex does it because he doesn't drink any energy drinks, and I'm sitting here sucking down like 600, 900 milligrams of
This
caffeine,
guy.
and he's just sitting
Yeah.
there drinking a half a bubbler and
Ghost Energy, if you're listening, just sponsor this guy.
just sucking it down.
Yeah, I'm mainly on the bubblers too myself. I don't know if I can do some of those energy drinks too much, but
Same.
man, just going out at night and then not getting much sleep, that can be truly exhausting. And last fall, we tried into the night a little bit, maybe an hour, but man, props to you guys for going out in the fall. It's freaking cold.
Yo,
I mean,
yeah,
it's.
there was some really cold nights out there.
Were you out
Yeah,
there in some of the below freezing nights casting?
Yep. Not
once
like a
it gets
crazy
below
amount.
0, man,
Oh.
I just struggle to get the motivation to go up. But if it's like,
There was a few though, because I remember we went through like 2 bottles of de-icer in like 2
yeah, I
weekends.
think the
So
last the last 2 fish we caught, actually the last fish that I caught was just an unbelievable boat side strike on a paddle tail. It was amazing. And that night we were burning through him. I was so desperate to leave, but this guy is the biggest champion out, I'm telling you. Just won't let me
Unreal.
leave.
paid off though, because we got
It
that
always
50
does,
pounder
yeah.
at the end of the year there. So
Yeah.
pays off.
This is unreal. So I would assume with all this nighttime talk on opener, you guys are going to be out there at midnight. I would
We'll be out there at
assume.
like 10 p.m. looking for him. Not casting, but
Oh,
like
I'm
probably
sure.
going through the shallows looking. Because hopefully, I mean, as long
Yeah,
as
well,
it's not like blowing or anything like
midnight
that too
opening
bad.
bell. I think, yeah, we always have to give it on opener. I think pretty much everyone's good for that. Giving
Mhm.
it the midnight, at least a couple hours from midnight on.
That was
I
something
know.
we did not do, but for that midnight opener, what are you guys, do you know some of the water temps you might be working with or what you guys
I've been kind
I'm,
of
ass-
possibly?
I'm assuming it's gonna be around like 60 to 62 because I was just up on Leech and it was like 59, 60 when I left, and Mille Lacs is like a little bit
Yeah.
south of there. So
Yeah, we're gonna be doing the Mille Lacs thing.
Oh, okay.
Big
Nice.
big party of people.
I don't know if I was supposed to say that, but
That's fine. Everyone in
there's gonna be
everyone and their
thousands of
dad's
people
gonna be
there.
there. So,
I figured so, yeah.
the
Especially after all the videos that
real.
came out last year.
I was just gonna say real quick, is that like has that been something that's been going on in the past few years? Because I know for a while there it was like no one was really out there as much as it used to be. So is that kind of a new development over the last few years?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say a new development, but generally those, the Mille Lacs fish, they always spawn in the bays and in the shallow, points and things like that out there. So it's the one time of the year that they're not easy, but attainable to
Sure.
target before they move out into the abyss and it become impossible to catch the rest of the year until the Cisco run. But so every it's a tradition for me to go there anyways, on opener. But a lot of guys, yeah, they'll hit that shallow water bay bite that we're all hoping for. And I think, yeah, like you said, I think the temps should probably range between 59 and low 60s, which should just be kind of there should be plenty of lingering fish from spawn in those shallow bays and those shallow waters. So we are expecting an okay bite, I think, for everybody.
I don't think it'll be as good as last year, but
I agree. We had I think it might even have been a record ice out on Mille Lacs, or very close to a record ice out this year. So, and we had that real hot 60s, 70-degree warm up earlier this spring.
Yeah, it's been hot in the cities.
And so I think a lot of things happened in terms of spawn, like in advance, even though the temperatures did come to a cool down and settle a bit. But I think there will be fish all over the place, ranging from ultra shallow water to out in open water. So we'll see. I guess this is going to be kind of an interesting opener. I'm not real sure.
So yeah, it seems like at least for us, we found pretty typical water temps up here, but we had super early ice off. You would have like I would have thought we would have had much warmer, much more in advance of the spawn than I kind of thought. So I guess if they're kind of doing the same thing on some of the big lakes in Minnesota, I think you guys should definitely be able to find them shallow. But one question for you, if you're struggling shallow and you say you're going to open water, are you just going to go not far from the spawning bays and check that open water? Or are you going to look for, do you have any bug hatches going on yet that you guys?
I think Mille Lacs, because I follow like a Mille Lacs fishing page, and there was everyone and their mom was posting pictures of like their house and everything just getting swarmed by bugs. So
I think they did have
I'm
one
assuming
pretty big
I'm assuming
hatch.
Mille Lacs had a pretty bad hatch, but I don't think it was mayflies though. Whatever
Okay.
else hatches.
I was just gonna say, like we found most of our fish super shallow. We were trying to kind of get them in that transition zones out of spawning bays and such. Probably what you guys are trying to do. But I had some buddies that did target open water on opening weekend on some pretty gin clear water up here and found some success right away. Pretty much working with the same water temps of like 60 to 62, if I had to guess. And I don't even know if they're targeting bait. They were just kind of drifting the middle and getting fish, which was pretty cool. I mean, fish were scattered, so I'm assuming that might be
Yeah,
the same for you guys.
I'm sure Mille Lacs there'll be some like the big girls. Hopefully there'll be still a few in the bays, but I'm assuming there'll probably be a few out in the open water. But
That's a different beast though, going out there and trying to find those fish out. You can't just go out in open water and Mille Lacs and aimlessly cast. It just
Hmm.
the density out there is
Oh,
so
yeah.
low that it's a waste of time. I mean, we're basically just targeting the shallow water fish this weekend, but we might go out there and look around a little bit, but that's only if the shallow water is just completely non-existent. But I don't think it will be. I think the temps have held cool enough long enough to where, we should at least contact some fish here and there. So
Yeah, that's also saying like our deep clear lakes, majority of them, are between
Oh, I'm talking
800
like
and 2,000 acres. So like, that's just a fingernail of, it's a dot on the board of what Mille Lacs is. It's just a totally different ball game.
yeah,
shoot,
Mille Lacs, that's why it's like the opener is fun because like if it is windy, you can hide out in those bays and be confident that you're going to catch a fish. You don't have to be like, oh, great, we get to go battle 4-footers out in the middle of the lake or something like that. So
that would be brutal. What's
it's
Oh, go ahead, Alex.
I'll say it's a really fun tradition though going there. Like all of our friends are there. I probably know and we'll see 40 boats of people that I know out
Oh,
there.
wow.
And
Oh, jeez.
yeah, it's a zoo. I mean, you're doing circles a lot and but you'll know when somebody gets one because the hooting and hollering. Everyone will on opener at least intentionally try to be as loud as they can.
Right. Yeah.
So everybody knows, and it's
That's
pretty
pretty cool.
fun. Yeah.
I was actually just about to ask a question of like if somebody's going to Mille Lacs, what are the tips? And I guess they probably don't need to give one. Just go look for some boats and start hooking.
yeah, you'll know where to fish. That's for sure.
Well, then
That's
maybe
for
yeah.
sure.
Then um,
Uh,
that's hilarious. But for the rest, this past month, have you guys been out like smallmouth fishing or walleye fishing and maybe found some muskies while you've been out? Because I know there's a lot of people that up here that also walleye fish on walleye opener here, and they will go walleye fish the same lakes they muskie fish. And there's a ton of people that contacted muskies, a ton of people that caught them on husky jerks and little paddle tails. So I was wondering if you guys have come into contact with any, prior to the season or seen some up shallow at all.
I haven't, but I was out this past weekend on Leech with Alex and I's good buddy Jace, and he said he was out just a couple days before, and he was seeing fish everywhere, super shallow while he was trying to crappie fish out on Leech. So that gave me some hope that Mille Lacs was gonna hopefully be the same. So, because I was like a little worried. I was like, it was warm this spring. We're gonna go into Mille Lacs and catch a 42-incher all weekend. No offense, you Wisconsin guys.
Who fucking who?
I'm just
Oh,
just
no.
teasing.
Maybe we
just
should.
teasing.
Maybe
just
we
teasing.
should fish Minnesota opener.
No,
It's trash. Don't come.
my spring season was
Same with Wisconsin opener.
pretty. I don't know. I hardly got out walleye fishing this year. We did very well on the Rainy River for 2 weekends that we went up there for their walleye run. But other than that, like locally, I've been super busy between work and we're in the process of buying a house and et cetera. So I just haven't had time to get out much. I got out walleye fishing around here once, and I did see a couple muskies in the sand shallow out there. So. I feel pretty confident. That was a week and a half ago, so I don't know.
Real quick, I want to ask you guys this because we, shockingly for how much we talk about northern Wisconsin on this podcast, we do have a lot of listeners from Minnesota, and so I'm sure not everybody doing the opening deal is going to be going to Mille Lacs, and it's always fun to kind of talk about hypotheticals, hypothetical bites on different bodies of water, but like. Say somebody's going out in the cities this weekend. Like, is it going to be a similar program you think to Mille Lacs? Like, or do you feel like fish will be up shallow in the metro waters, or do you think things have kind of advanced so far down here that it might be a little bit more scattered and kind of tougher to find them? What are your thoughts there?
I think that I have family that lives in the metro and a bunch of friends down there, and the temperature difference between the metro and up in northern Minnesota here has been actually kind of drastic this spring. Like every day I've been in about 20 degrees less than they've had. So I think things down in the cities are going to be a bit more accelerated for sure. If I was going to go out in the cities, I would probably be already jumping into that open water bite and checking that out first. But I'm not sure. Everything's been stable. We haven't had any like shockingly hot days or anything like that. So I'm sure there'll be lingering fish kind of scattered everywhere. But once the fish do make that full transition into open water, that's always one heck of a bite in Minnesota. And you don't when it's going on, you don't want to miss out on that. So.
For sure.
Okay.
Is there like a water temp you look for that, or maybe just like a calendar date? I know a lot of people kind of argue with either or, where it's like it's always got to be this temperature, upper 60s or something like that, or it's always got to be June 1st or June 12th or something, specific, or the first full moon of June or something like that. I don't know if there's something in particular that you're looking for there, because it sounds like from Max, the cities have been significantly warmer than anywhere else.
I say, it seemed like Alex and I have done pretty well open water when the temps have gotten to like 68, Alex?
Yeah,
Like
I'd
68?
say upper 60s, you're a full go for the open water program. I think that time of year plays that's the beauty about musky fishing. We don't know all the answers for certain. But I think that time of year plays more of a factor. Because a few years ago, we remember, I don't know, Tyler, if you were up on Mille Lacs for that opener, but we had 96-degree temps and 70 something degree surface water on opener, and there was still a bunch of fish in those shallow bays. So I mean, things change every year, especially in Minnesota, like wildly between especially and fish behavior. It's like I think I was talking about it on the last podcast. Like last year, we had fish that following post spawn. At the end of June, we were catching fish in ultra shallow water. When instead, and I think that's because of all the pressure they immediately get in the open water bite. Man, there's a lot of pressure, especially on the smaller bodies of water in Minnesota. Guys trolling masts full of and boards, just raking the lakes, and guys chucking nonstop with live scope and open water and stuff like that. And I think last year that actually pushed a lot of fish up very shallow, and we've kind of figured that out in the middle of June, and that bite was pretty special too. While everyone else was out just bombing the abyss. So
Yeah, it was nice to be able to
But-
catch fish during the day too, and not stay up till 3 a.m.
That's
Yeah.
always nice.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't have the real answers on that, but my gut feeling would say that time of year is more important than the conditions that we're having at the moment.
Yeah, no, like I mean, like you said, there's no hard and fast rule book here for this stuff. It's just sometimes it's always fun to just like toss out hypotheticals prior to openers because most of the people have been waiting months to go musky fish, and if you're listening to this, you're jacked up for opener, and you're like, it's always just good to like get a little bit of intel on like, well, they might be doing this, they might be doing that, because if you make a game plan and you go out there and it's not working, it's always nice to kind of have some backup options, or maybe if they're not at your A spot, maybe they'll be here. And like you said, you just never really know where you're going to find them. So I mean, we did something different this year than we've done the past like 4 years, and you just never know. So would you say though, like I guess on an average year this year with the early ice out, like from what I've been hearing in Minnesota, at least in the cities, is that like weeds are so far progressed that it's almost like to the point where they're in like a midsummer stage with kind of how the lake is like setting up. And I'll be curious to see like what that does, because I don't think it was like that at all in northern Wisconsin. Even with our early ice out, like we did not have like I would say, Gus, would you agree we had like a lot of good weeds, but it wasn't like overwhelming to the point where it was like, oh, I'm not used to seeing weeds here, or man, these weeds are like they should be in like July or August. It was still a lot of like typical May shit.
I agree on most of them. I would say the one that I was at today is like mid-July already, but that's like an anomaly lake, so it gets weed choked on certain years. Last 2 years it hasn't, but go ahead. Yeah, what are you guys seeing for weed growth over there in Minnesota?
I know Leech was shitty. It just looked like
Hmm.
like May, but I also don't know. I haven't been up on Leech too much like early season to know whether or not that's just because
Yeah,
the
luckily
Russies have gone in there and just raped the lake like every other northern lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, luckily in
heard.
Minnesota, the rusty crayfish and and mussels and other invasive species have kind of decimated a lot of the weed growth that we used to get. In also cleared up the lakes even more so. I think Cass Lake is like the biggest primary example of that. That lake used to be full of just lush cabbage, and it just you can drive around left and right unless you're in Allen's Bay, you won't find a strand of a weed anywhere. So it's
rough.
interesting. Yeah. The cities though, majority of those lakes are pretty weed choked, and from what I hear, it has already started. So I would assume that come opening weekend for the guys that are going to be down there, they'll be fishing the deeper edges, and then out into the open water quite a bit. That would be my guess.
Yeah. Could you imagine Gus and Brian fishing like a 18-foot weed edge on opener in end of May, early June?
I don't know, man. If there's fish there, I'll do it. But I know historically we've done really well shallow on opener, and we did it again this year, but it just kind of took different lakes to figure that out. Because obviously the one we did Saturday afternoon was a complete dud somehow. But we'll chat about that later for sure.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hit or miss for a lot of guys. Like, I mean, from the guys, a lot of the guys that I talked to over in Wisconsin, they struggled. I mean, I saw you guys just lit it up, so that was pretty awesome to see. But I know quite a few guys over there that just couldn't get things going right off the bat. So I think Minnesota will kind of have the same outcome with mixed reports.
Yeah, I think fish were overall scattered like crazy. I mean, just a week before, I think I might have said this in the last podcast, just like a week and a half ago or so before opener. I mean, we thought the season progressed like way early. I was hearing reports from some people that, I mean, obviously there's anomaly fish or fish that spawn late, but somebody caught like a 4 footer that was just full of eggs, giant, big belly, pre-spawn fish in northern Wisconsin, walleye trolling out super deep. The same week that I was checking out lakes and seeing some nice fish up really, really shallow, all beat up, done spawning. I mean, I've seen fish done spawning since like early May, and then there's God, who was we just had Austin Wiggerman on talking about some of his fish down in southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois, and he said he's seen pre-spawn fish and such all the way into like late June down there, mid-June or something crazy. So I I I wonder if you guys will maybe have with the early ice out some weird uh finding weird situations like that where you get like still just some giant pre-spawn fish that hold their eggs for a long time and just don't spawn. I wonder if you guys will find that because the fish that we caught I think were post spawn. I don't but not beat up like crazy or nothing, which is weird. There's some years where we catch just some really scarred up fish and this year we didn't really get that.
I think so too. Yeah, I think that we're gonna run into that. That is usually the case too, especially on the Mille Lacs. You know, fish trickle in so scattered, and through the whole spawning process out there. A lot of times they just they do or they don't go through the motions, especially those older fish. But they're always coming and going throughout the early season. So every year we've seen fish actually coming in to spawn on opener, and some going through the process. You'll see fish paired up ultra shallow when we're out there, and then some fish that'll be just beat to death. So I'm expecting a good mix of that too.
So we saw you guys at the Minnesota Muskie Expo. Not sure if you guys emptied the wallets at all there, but are there any baits you guys are looking forward to throwing here in 2024 that weren't in the roto for last season?
There's this. I'm excited for this new. Well, obviously musky addicts like that, but this Wicked Deadly Outdoors bucktail. I got. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? It's got like the little weird blade on the back. Seemed pretty interesting. I'm excited to throw that, and then
You
no,
talked about the muskie. You're talking about the barn burners.
Yep, that, and then something a little new.
So
that we'll be
what are
testing out.
those? What are those like? Because we just picked those up at the Minnesota show, and I'm pretty excited to throw them. I mean, bucktail bite for us was totally ass this last weekend.
Non-existent.
Was just not happening. So I really didn't reach for a bucktail much, but I'm excited to throw those barn burners. Sounds like you guys have had a lot of success on them.
Yeah, we didn't have. I don't think I caught a muskie on a bucktail till that really when the fish just randomly moved up super shallow last year, and then cause I think I was throwing one half the time I was out on Mille Lacs, and I mean you can see some of those Ben Stone videos where he's bringing fish in and they're going crazy in the 8 on his bucktails, and I'm just like, where was that for me? Like,
Yeah,
I was
right.
throwing bucktails like all day, every day out there for like 4 days straight, and maybe
good
out of
question.
fall. So
Yeah. I generally will throw a bucktail off the rip just to see how things are going.
yeah, and then this kid
play from
catches a 50-incher right away within like an hour.
Yeah, that was a funny story too, because I don't remember. Tyler, were you guys into bed when that happened?
No, I'm not like your buddies.
So I was
We went fishing. I think we fished till my buddies are lame. They're like, oh, it's sunrise is coming up, and I know there's like a moon. I remember I was pissed because there was a moonrise in like an hour or two, and like, dude, we got to go to bed. I'm like, dude, sunrise. There's a moon set or something like that. I know there's a moon phase coming up, and I'm like, just saw a guy bag one, and I'm like, the fish are gonna be going here, and they're like, we got to get off. I'm gonna fall asleep. I'm like, Sleep in the back of the boat, buddy.
Yeah, that was
Comfortable.
actually kind of a funny story too. There must have been a lapse in communication with us, Tyler, because my two buddies who were out with me, they were struggling to hack it too. It was like I think it was like 2:15 a.m. They're like, we got to go take a nap. We have to go take a nap. And I was not having it. I was like, we had just moved a few fish. Fish were pretty active. Like they kept sliding up ultra shallow, and moving along those breaks pretty heavily. And I dropped my buddies off and went out solo mission. And the first cast, after I dropped him off to sleep, that fish came in and just choked the bucktail to the throat so bad. Oh, I had to cut both hooks and the main wire. I mean, that was just an epic strike at the boat on that fish. And then I got a 46 like 4 casts later too on the same line. So I was like, well, I sent them the text and they 15-minute nap and they were back out on the dock, and then we got shut out till like 9.
Oh,
So
can't
that
call
was-
it quits too early.
I was like, you guys deserve every bit of it. You could have. I'm in the back of the boat. Those were supposed to be your fish,
That's too
Straight
funny.
up.
but that was pretty funny. But
Brian,
year-
I never want to hear you complain about sleep again after hearing some of these stories.
Yeah,
I've
we
been a
sound
big
like
advocate at
pansies.
night fishing.
Yeah.
I just hate getting up in the morning, but I would love to stay out late.
yeah, getting up in the
There-
morning is the key is to just stay out all night because
Yeah.
you
Oh,
can't
There's
do it either.
one point last, I think, early October where Alex and I brought the cod out and we were just taking turns napping in the cod,
No way.
casting. Yep.
Yeah, I went to Wally's and got a cot, and I was like, all right, you can fish for 3-4 hours, and then I'll fish, and then just wait
This
for
is
the
like
bite.
if anyone's listening to this, like you're just not fishing hard enough.
Exactly. Well, it's always fun because I remember one time I was like just fell asleep, like out, like dreaming, like having a dream. All just like all I hear is screaming and splashing, and Alex has a fish hooked up. I'm like, oh fuck,
No way.
I'm up now. I'm up now.
That's a good alarm. I
That
would
is
take
a
that
great
alarm
alarm.
over anything else.
Yep.
I love it. I don't know how many years left I have of even attempting to do it a couple times, but that overnight stuff can be fun sometimes. Fishing with the boys.
Sometimes.
So. Yeah, there are times when it's like what do we just waste? Imagine the shutout I could have got. But
Yeah. I don't think we would have been doing it if we weren't having the success. Because yeah, it's like, especially those nights where you don't have a full moon, you can't see anything, and it's like, how many follows have we gotten, or yada yada yada. It's like every once in a while we'll turn our red light on, but then you start getting superstitious, like, is this scaring the fish away? Alex doesn't think so, but who knows? But yeah,
Man.
we were just it was one heck of a year last year during the nighttime. So
the
But who
moons
knows?
were
I'm
the moons were good. Yeah.
yeah, true. Yeah, full moons were really fun. And I think that's what made Mille Lacs last year so good too, because on openers it fell right on a full moon, so it was just like cold
do you-
water,
What do you got this
full
year
moon.
for moon phase?
It was a full moon last weekend, so you guys got the
Yeah, we got the
you guys got
weekend
the full
after.
moon.
Oh, that's
we got a
right.
junk moon.
Yeah, we
You
got
got
the-
you got the between a half and a quarter or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 30%. I saw
Yeah.
whatever that means.
Yeah, I think that was the worst of all weekends last year. It was the back end of the full.
I'm looking forward to that up here then.
Do you guys have better luck in Wisconsin on full moons or new moons?
New moons by far. Full moons I
Really?
absolutely hate usually. The day of the full moon is usually atrocious for me, and I must be fishing during the day, and I should probably fish at night then. Because every time I have a full moon, it's either 0 bites or 1 bite and 1 to 2 follows. Just terrible days. No matter where I pick. I've picked so many different lakes. I've always thought it was maybe the lake that I would go to, and it hasn't been the case. So I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, I don't know. Something's screwing with my head on the day of the full moon. So that I need to figure out this year.
So if you're looking to book a guide trip this summer, make sure to stay away from the full moon day.
Unless your guy's taking you out till 3 a.m.
Yeah. Oh,
Unless you want to night fish.
oh God.
You guys think you'll be night fishing a little more this year or what?
After these stories?
Yeah. I mean, shit, today was high of like 65, but there wasn't even a cloud in the sky. Tomorrow's going to be like 74, not even a cloud in the sky. I'm already contemplating going out after this, but I don't know if I can.
I'm just thinking of like all the, giant fish we've had fall in the past, and I'm like kicking myself, like, why didn't we just go back out, at midnight and go right back to the waypoint on those huge fish? Now we're never gonna see them again.
Yeah, you're like, oh, we'll get them tomorrow, and then they just
Yeah.
never show their face. Like, oh, he's out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I always found it's just this past year, especially like how it was the amount of success we had specifically between like 3 and 3:45 a.m. was just there was always an opportunity at least every single time we went out overnight. And most nights we would at least get a fish or two in that window, and it was it's like I don't, it kind of makes you think a little bit more about like musky behavior. Do like the human body, like we run on a 24-hour time clock that we get adjusted to, and we eat our breakfast, our lunch, our dinner, at the same time. Do muskies operate on a similar 24-hour schedule, and similar to us, is there something that happens to them like that throws them out of their schedule for those random fish that don't want to eat in the normal windows, or they makes you wonder what they're doing, or
Yeah.
like a musk, or like last year, like finding that lone like noon to 2 in the afternoon bite was a challenge,
Tough.
It's either that or the muskie are getting really smart. They're like, we have never seen a bait at 3 a.m., so we're free to eat right now.
That's kind of what I thought, because it was like, I mean, there's people that'll fit like Minnesota. It seems like there's people that'll fish till like at night. I wouldn't say a decent amount, but they're out there. But it's like I don't know how many people are staying out till past 2 a.m. Because there's times where we would go out at like sunset, wouldn't see a fish, wouldn't even mark them on side imaging, and then we're just going around from like each spot to spot, and then all of a sudden 1 a.m. hits, we're starting to see fish kind of trickle in, and then it was just weird because it's like once you like 3:30 hit, or 3 to 3:30 to 3:45, stuff just started happening.
Just clockwork.
Every once in a while we catch one here from like between like 11 and 1 a.m. to 2 a.m., but it was like that 3 o'clock window is just nuts.
I think regardless of moon phase, like 3 o'clock, just pretty consistently.
Regardless of moon phase.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yep.
That's interesting. Well, another thing that I've kind of hearing about this night fishing thing is that you guys are talking about these fish that you're catching. Each of the stories you kind of have in there, like, oh, that fish choked it, or that fish just took down the whole bait. It's almost like these fish at the daytime just know how to not eat, and then at nighttime they just focus fully on eating. Like they can't fully see, so they're just gonna use maybe the sound and vibration to just take it down. It's always interesting to me that these fish can nip at baits and be unsure during the daytime, but at nighttime sometimes they can literally just inhale the bait as they kind of should be, or a typical eat on a muskie. Like we've seen muskie inhale entire fish during the daytime, but not baits very often. It's hard to come by for that because of probably pressure. So but
I think like back to the night, the fish I caught at night last year, it was hooked so like it choked it so bad that I slacklined it for 15 feet or whatever, and it stayed hooked. It just wasn't going anywhere. I mean, he wasn't letting that thing go. I don't know if you guys listened to that episode, but I thought I had the fish boat side because I'm not good at night fishing because we don't do it very much. And it was actually about 40 feet away from the boat. So I thought I had hooked it like 4 feet out, and I like felt the fish going to the right. And like I was on our buddy's boat, and like I didn't have much room to walk. And again, it was new moon, so it was pitch black. So I'm like, I'll try to get it back to going to the left. And so like I took my rod and kind of sweep to the left, and just like all tension left, everything was slacked. I'm just like, oh, bait just popped. And I start reeling, and I'm like, oh shit, still got him, but he's way out there. And yeah, I mean that's just kind of going through the motions. And I mean, night fish, I think it's just like hard because if you don't do it a lot, like I think what I'm grasping from this conversation is like you guys were so committed to it because once you do it once and you have success, you're like, okay, we can do it again. And you keep repeating it, you get confidence in it. For us, like we just haven't done it as much. So it's like it's hard for us to justify like, okay, if we go out there all night, like, are we gonna have better chances at fish than we are during the day? And the answer is probably yes, but in like until you kind of like repeat it and have success doing it, it's just like hard to grind and stay up, I think. I mean, I remember one time, Gus, we were out at night and I think we had like our uncle on the boat or something, and we had a bunch of pops. And I remember I got a topwater blow up and like I just didn't even set the hook. So I was like, wait, did that just happen?
What do I do?
Like, wait a second.
What do I do? Like you gotta adjust like physically. It's just a whole different ball game when you're not able to kind of see everything that's going on. It's an adjustment.
Yeah, it's like it's a rhythm too, because I mean they're like when I first started night fishing, there was plenty of times where I was clink running the bait or the leader right into my island. It's like, oh great, that figure gets screwed. So you got to just kind of get a rhythm down. I just slow things down like crazy. So it's like you kind of feel the bait getting closer, kind of move your rod a little bit more so you can feel the like vibration of the bait, and you can feel it getting coming to your rod a little bit more.
Are you using like glow beads or knots or anything like that to kind of tip you off that bait's coming in?
Nope, I haven't. That's probably a good. I've thought about using like glow beads. I don't want to be tying knots in my line, but glow beads might be a good idea. But I mean, after like the third or fourth night of being out there, you kind of got it down pretty good.
Yeah, I just use brighter colors. Chart blades. I can usually catch a glimpse of them enough. But yeah, enough. But definitely, I don't know. Definitely slowing it down to where you can just get a better feel and feel your baits a little bit more. Muskies definitely have. They're definitely, in my opinion, 100% way more susceptible to eating at night because of their lack of vision. I mean, you're just strictly knocking on their lateral lines, so slowing those baits down, despite even if allows them to pull up on the bait, and they still I still don't think they see it very well, and you're just knocking on their lines, and I just think it makes them much more susceptible than anything during the day when they can kind of get a read on the situation.
Yeah, makes sense because I've heard a lot of people say like, oh, just use all black at night, but then I've heard people like, oh, just use flash and white and
whatever helps you
painted
see.
stuff. It's like, yeah, that's what it seems like. It's like I don't think they care. They're going on lateral line, not vision. The thing could be purple, pink, and blue for all that they care at night, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's got different opinions on that. I don't think color plays as big of a factor overnight.
Have you seen anything with like metallic blades on full moons at all? Like bright moons? Anything shiny?
I do like a nickel blade in the moon. Like 100%. I think that flash coming off the blades when the moon's bright enough can play a big effect. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Sweet.
Well, and like those Kramer Bros blades, I forgot what they put, like what tape, kind of like that reflective tape that he puts on there.
Those We've had monster success on those too.
Those are nice.
Yeah.
I know he's not the only one that does it, but
those wood ticks, the ones that make that extra bang off the blade, or
just I think it was the Widow. Is it Window or Widow Maker?
Window Maker.
Window Maker, yeah, those ones. He's got like a reflective tape that he puts on. I know, like Lake X, they put it on the like tail of some of their top waters and stuff. But man, if the moon hits that, or even like your boat light hits it. It just, nope, there's my bait right there.
Yeah, you
It's
can see
super
those
easy to
coming
see.
in from a good distance. Yeah.
That's good to know.
I wanted to ask this during this interview. How did you guys become boat partners?
I slid into his DMs.
Oh, the thirst.
Oh, it wasn't that bad. I was new, so I started musky fishing. Like, I don't even want to call it that. I caught a muskie while I was bass fishing on a little sucker in a river in like April in like 2015, 2016, and just got hooked then. And then slowly up until like 2020, I'd go out a few times here and there and had decent success. And then I was like, none of my buddies musky fish. I don't know anyone. So I was just like, I got to learn because I'm like addicted and I can't be going out with my buddies who like, oh, I'll go out for like 2 hours, 3 hours. It's like I want to be out all day. So I was like, I got to find someone to grind with. So slid in his DMs and it's been magic ever since.
I'm pretty welcoming for the boat. I'll fish with anybody. As long as I'm free. And he just, I don't know, he seemed like a bro, and he passed
Love
his
at first
tryout.
sight.
Yeah.
Didn't knock any fish off with the net. So
Yeah.
That's too funny.
But yeah, that's a social media pickup there for sure. So there's a
yeah.
positive aspect of social media.
Yeah, I was thirsty for information. Just like you can only watch so many YouTube videos, So it's like you got to get out in the boat with someone that it's like I don't want to. I was a broke college student. I'm like I can't spend $500-$600 for a guide by myself. So it's like I didn't. I mean, I could have, but I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. I got to find someone that I just have to give some gas money to and bring some candy on the boat and we're good to go.
Yeah. Oh man, do we snack?
Yeah, dude.
we got snaps going back and forth this week of just who can bring the best snacks.
Oh my god.
What do we have lined up?
Yeah, what are we working with here?
Oh man.
What are
the blueberry lemonade sweet fish are go-to.
Brian just perked up. He's about to
take
come
notes.
Yeah,
Taking notes, Brian.
Those airhead I don't even know, hard candy. Man, there's
you guys go sugary.
You go
candy,
huh?
Oh yeah. We
Really?
do candy. We probably bring like 2 bags each of candy in there. It's gone by the end of the day. So it's just
we go chips.
Most people like lose weight from casting for muskies during the summer, and I'm sitting here like bulking up, and it's like shit.
Bulking season during the summer is insane.
Like I'm surprised I'm not a diabetic yet.
Yeah, I don't do caffeine, so I gotta do sugar. It's my only option.
Yeah, you're like Gus. I mean, he'll do the energy drinks, but he's our resident non-coffee drinker, and that still blows my mind. Like we're getting up at 4:35, Gus just popping right out of bed, and I'm like
shotgunning a ghost.
Yeah. So you said, Alex, that it was a positive of social media. I've been seeing you kind of coming around on some of your stuff lately. It's it's good that you're putting it out there, I guess. Have you got any feedback from people or anything? Kind of talking about how I'm coming around on a few things. I'm sure you still got some gripes with the social media as we all do, but the live scope stuff, all that. How's that all been received?
Yeah, I mean that's honestly just want to fish, man. Just trying to go fish and meet some bros and have a good time. Like that's all.
There you go.
That's all, you know what I mean? Like I've done so good just keeping out of the social media world of it. Every day I go on there, I see people just fighting back and forth over their opinions on that stuff, and I still have opinions on things like the whole live scope debate. That's still really hot to this day. Back and forth, very political. But for the most part, I'm just trying to go fish this year. We had such a good time last year, and I just want to keep that going and get out with all the guys I know, the musky battle guys. That's all it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good mindset to have. And they got any things you guys are looking forward to? It sounds like obviously you'll be doing the battle again, but any other trips planned that you guys are excited about for this summer?
I think Lake of the Woods, we're planning on that. I don't know. I think, is it July or are we doing September or both?
I haven't decided yet.
Yeah, Lake of the Woods will be fun.
Nice.
And
But I don't, yeah, no big trips though this year. He just had a child last winter, so he's been real busy with that. So I thought I was going to lose my bow partner for the year for a while, but then
yeah, we got a
he,
place on leech,
yeah,
so
he
the
just
baby
hit me up
mama's
like
coming up.
a month ago, and he's like, "Hey, guess what? We bought a camper on Leech. I'll be there every weekend." So I'm like, "Oh, all right, we're sitting pretty."
Yeah.
Man, funny how that.
That's
How funny
clutch.
how it works out.
She was like, should we do it? I'm like, yeah, we definitely should. Now I don't feel bad leaving the house every weekend to go fishing and leaving you behind 2 dogs and a baby.
Are you guys coming over to Wisconsin at all this summer for the battle or anything like that?
Yeah, yeah, we'll be there for that battle. That
Well,
Are
Kyle
you guys going to be
set
there?
up.
Yep.
We'll be there. Tyler, are you going
Nice.
to be able to stay sane chasing after little 42 inchers all weekend, or what's
I'm
going to be
just
the
messing with you
mindset going?
guys. I'm
What's going to
just
be the
messing with you
mindset?
guys.
I feel like I got to keep you entertained that weekend. Like,
As long as I catch 150 this year in Minnesota, I'll be fine. Just got to cross that off the list and then
Now,
I'll
now,
be good.
now I feel
I'm,
like for the battle, I'm obligated to try and chase you guys around till 3 a.m. Figure out that
I'm
oh,
like
excited.
Wisconsin.
I'm excited. I've never fished in northern Wisconsin for muskies, so I always like a change of scenery, no matter what. I don't even if it's chucking for smaller size fish. I don't really. I'm excited, and all the guys too. This is the first battle type event that you guys will be a part of too. I think, right? Or were you at last
yep,
year's?
no,
Yep.
this will
First
be our
battle.
first.
It's such a good time. It's such a
yeah.
good time. All the a lot of BS and a lot of fun. All the guys are so good. So
Yeah,
I look forward to it more than anything every year. So
maybe you guys will have to take some PTO and come up a few days early and have a little battle before the battle.
yeah,
Oh, might have
yeah,
to. Might
yep.
have to.
A little mini
Oh
battle.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I was telling Gus before, like I've only fished St. Croix as far as Wisconsin goes, if you
Mm-hmm.
want to really count that as fishing with Wisconsin. So it'd be nice, it'd be fun. Heard too many
I'll be
stories.
really curious to hear your guys' thoughts on it because like it's not like we've done a bunch of Minnesota fishing, but from what we have done and what we've heard, it is a lot different. So it'll be interesting to hear how you guys like it and what you guys think of it because we obviously, I mean, it's what we know, but we love it. So be curious to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, it'll be fun to catch a Wisco 50 before you guys.
Oh,
I'll
Just
end the pod.
wait.
Cut it off. No,
That would be so
I hope
freaking
someone does.
funny.
I hope someone does during the
That would be
battle. That'd be
sweet.
wild.
That'd
Yeah,
be
I heard
sweet.
they're the unicorn up there.
They are because it's only so many lakes you can really fish for to have a shot at them.
Have a shot. Yeah.
It seems like if a 50 comes about on like a sub 500 acre lake, it's like a once in a decade type of a fish that just is alive. I don't
So
know.
like
It's
up there
weird.
is it like the lakes are like either loaded with smaller fish and then the big fish are in like lakes with like super low population? Or is it kind of
It's
Generally, I
it
guess.
generally it seems like the low density are the ones that have big fish. There's a couple anomaly lakes that we've found some sizable fish where there's a ton, but they're pretty well known and a lot of people hit them
okay?
for the same reason that there's always the one that I hit today, I'd say is a part of that. A lot of fish in there, really, really big fish, but it gets hit by everyone and their mother out there.
Are
There's
they
maybe once or
usually
twice, once or two more, or sorry, one or two
uh,
more lakes, maybe like that.
are they like Cisco? Are the big fish usually in the Cisco
Typically,
base lakes
the
or are
one
there
that I
some like
just,
stained ones with giants in them?
there's a few stained ones. I would say even like the flowages of like the Wisconsin hold some really, really big fish. Um,
Okay.
I'd say that's probably where you're gonna find on a smaller area some really, really big ones, but that's still kind of low density up here. I'd say on average the high density lakes are just small fish factories where it's just average fish of 34 to 40 inches, I'd say,
But
typically.
hey, you're catching 4 to 6 of those in a day. If
It's
not
not
more,
bad.
that's fun.
No,
That's fun.
Nah,
I don't care who you are.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see where we ultimately end up fishing for that, because I don't know if that's been decided, but that will play a huge factor on if there's if it's going to be available to catch a fish of that caliber. But that would be hilarious if you guys brought your Minnesota like giant mentality over to Wisconsin. We're just like, what's all this hubbub about of like catching a Wisco 50? This is easy, northern Wisconsin.
No.
That would be
That's
so
how it's
awesome.
done.
We're
I'll just-
striking out. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. I definitely want to fish the big fish waters just for that, though.
I'll tell you where they
that's-
are.
At least try it.
He's
Definitely
in
at least
that
try.
phase where he just wants big fish right now. And
Oh,
he'll get-
Alex, you put me in this
he'll-
phase. You put me in this phase.
He'll get over it.
It's a tough phase.
Yeah, well, that would be fun. While to do the mini battles, we'll just be like, all right, guys, Friday before it come up, we'll hit this one or two lakes that we know if they're in there, and we'll just see what happens. See what happens.
We
and
strike
go
out, we
grind for
strike
a
out,
full day.
but
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we did it. We've done plenty of that. So
yeah,
it's nothing new to us.
oh,
There
good
you go.
stuff. Well, we can't thank you guys enough for coming on. Alex, you're a recurring guest now, so you join an exclusive club, only a handful of people. So thank you for shooting the shit with us again. And Tyler, nice of you to come on and make your debut here. Strong showing.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys as always. You guys are always good stuff, and love the pods every week. And yeah, keep her going.
appreciate it. Yeah, and this one might be like a day late, so sorry to the listeners. It's going to be on a wild schedule this summer, especially if I start getting into night fishing. Who knows when this podcast will release on any given
Start
week.
recording at 2 a.m.
Yeah, I'll
It's
be like
worth
to
it if you
Brian and
start
Max.
catching fish.
Yeah, it's like, hey, can we record at like 6 a.m. this week? Because we always record at this time of night on any given like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. This is Wednesday now, so I know for a fact this ain't coming out tomorrow morning. But
Release it raw.
I could save me some time, no doubt. But
Start cussing
yeah,
up a storm.
Live stream.
well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Tyler and Alex. Appreciate it. Appreciate all the input you have for northern Minnesota, mid Minnesota. I guess you guys just have one opener, so good luck to all the people going out for that opener, and good luck to you guys. And again, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Brian, take it.
All right, everybody. Thank you for this week's episode of Muskies on Tap. Shout out to Tyler and
look at
Alex
it.
for coming on this week. A couple of the best sticks in Minnesota. Shout out to those guys. And we got one of the best sticks here in northern Wisconsin. Jack for coming on here tonight, aka Big Beast, aka Great.
Big beast.
Shout out to all three of you guys for coming on this week. Made this pause special. Hopefully, Gus can edit this up here quick in the next 24 hours. Get this out to you guys. Good luck, everybody who's fishing this weekend. And we're cheering for the Dallas Mavericks this year. Fuck Boston. But don't write off the T-Wolves yet. They can make history.